Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, ba-da-da. Nice to see you, everybody. Hi there. Nice to see you. I'm Dean. Thanks for stopping by. Great to see everybody. It's Tuesday. It is, I don't know, around 4-ish in the afternoon, which is when we're recording. Listener, listen, you never know when we're doing this, do you? I mean, when you're watching it, doesn't matter what day you're watching it. This is on demand. We live in an on-demand world, so it doesn't really matter what time it is, but I'm just letting everybody know. It's around 4 o'clock. It's Tuesday. We are the third day of January, and we got a lot to talk about. Alpha males today, the downfall of the alpha males keeps coming fast and fucking furious. Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, all taking it in the face today. This is a lot of fun. I'm going to have fun with that today. Well, let's talk about another alpha male, Dana White. Weird video of him just appeared of him hurting his wife. What is? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got the video for you. It's fucking unbelievable.
Doesn't seem like the type.
No, we've got, yeah. Yeah. I would love to be have access to the CCTV cameras around the White home after seeing the video I just watched. We'll share it with you. It's fun. So anyway, we're going to talk about the loser alpha males, have some fun today with that. And we're also going to get to, if I'm not mistaken, a pretty interesting story about Elon's Cybertruck. That's for sale. No, you can buy yourself a Cybertruck. You'll like that. We'll talk about Luber. And we'll talk about Thor the Masturbating Walrus. Like I said, busy day today, but Lachlan had a word. He wanted to start off the podcast today with a word. So over to Lachlan to start us off with the word. And what is that word? I don't know.
Okay, well, I will I will be honest
on the button
with you. I did not know that this was offensive until somebody pointed it out. And I will say the word not in an attempt to offend anybody, but I'll say the word in an attempt to at least give you some reference as to what the word was. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll get you guys to tell me whether or not you think that this is offensive. And the reason why I'm confused about it is because I don't think there's any, you can't go to a restaurant and buy, a sandwich from this nationality. I don't know anybody that identifies as this group.
Is this like, can you guys tell me if this word is racist or not? Is that what we're, because I love this game. I love like the words that you use where someone takes offense and you're like, you know what? I got to put this to the people to figure out if I'm being racist or not, because some people don't know.
So no. Yeah. And here's the thing. And actually we've got Emil and maybe this is more of a European thing than it is a Canadian thing, but we did a video the other day for Luber, which is the joke Uber service that I have where I pick up Jimmy and drive him to the liquor store. So we did a funny video.
I already know what you're going to say.
In the video, he says that I gypped him. And so we had a couple of people send us a note saying that was offensive. GYP. And I said, and I said to Jimmy, because he got the same emails or the notes, and I said, is that I'm not defending you here, because if it's offensive, we'll remove it and we'll put, a beep over it or whatever and repost it. But I said to him, if it is offensive, who's offended by it? Because gypsies. I don't know any gypsies. Do you know any gypsies? I thought gypsies was kind of like a hippie. Like you're a hippie. No. Okay. All right.
No, gypsies. So let me just back up, right? I love this conversation. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I fucking dig it. Because we live in a world where we literally have to discuss whether or not what we say is offensive because of where we've all come from, different backgrounds, different angles, different upbringings, all that stuff. Culture, right? Yeah. So when you say gyp or gypped, it's past tense, past participle, just so you know, getting into the grammar here, Webster's Dictionary, you're welcome. It means to cheat or swindle.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the first known recorded definition of the term gypped dates back to the 1899 Century Dictionary, which says that it is probably, not for sure, probably an abbreviation of gypsy, gypsies, as applied to sly, unscrupulous people. It also appears in a bunch of books starting in 1914. Gypped.
Okay.
So it's not for sure, but to your point, and I guess the question I would ask, how many people complained, or were they just giving you a heads up?
It was a heads up, and we had two notes. One was a text, and another one was a note on my Facebook. Just said, "Hey, just a heads up." Mm-hmm. I think, and they even said that. I think gyp is offensive and could be considered derogatory. Just giving you, I don't think this person was offended by it, but I was like, okay, we had two not complaints, but just two heads ups. And I know, listen.
Yeah.
Gypsies were, is it an ethnic group?
Yeah.
I thought it, okay.
Yeah, it describes the Romani. No, it's like the Romani.
Yeah, the people. Roma people.
Yeah.
But weren't there gypsies in the UK? In
everybody, it bled into it because it became a term to say somebody who swindles or somebody who, like a carpetbagger. It's like when you hear the term carpetbagger, it's like people that move from town to town that are nomad, and they just, it's like the traveling gypsies. You always heard traveling gypsies.
I thought gypsies was more of a collection of people as opposed to an ethnic group.
I got it. I'm just doing some reading while we're talking here. Fuck, you know what? Wikipedia is incredible. Mm-hmm. This is fucking awesome. Every time we get into these discussions, we should just shut the fuck up, open up Wikipedia, and go, okay, here's the deal. Roma gypsies originated in the Punjab region of northern India as nomadic people, entered Europe between the 8th and 10th centuries BC. So like 1,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. More than that. Yeah, 1,000 years ago.
I knew they'd been around forever.
Yeah.
They were called gypsies because those in Europe who met them, because of their darker skin, came to believe they came from Egypt. Therefore, gypsies. Yeah. Therefore, It is an offensive term for people of the nomadic Punjab regions of northern India who came here from a fucking 1,000 years ago. They've been carrying around that resentment for a long time. That's all I'm saying.
So yeah, I don't know if it, like, how offensive is it though? Really,
it's not.
This is where we get all fucking crazy about this.
Yeah,
stuff,
we do that, don't we? Like it's like someone sees something someone writes or some. Oh, thank you for doing it. This is a nice cultural moment we're having here, my friend. But someone looks at what they're doing and they're like, you know what? I saw this word and I want to insert my importance into someone else's life today, just to feel cool. And so that was somewhere.
Not the case with both of these. The two.
Did they take the time to email you?
Yes, but that wasn't from a perspective of I'm offended. You need to fix this. It was hey, just a heads up. This might be deemed offensive by some people, and so that's why I was like, okay, Jimmy, maybe we should take it down and then repost it with it being beeped out, just in case, right? But I even said to Jimmy, I said, I'm not positive about the background of gypsies because I knew there was gypsies in France, and Spain. There was in different parts of Europe. There was gypsies in. If you watch the Peaky Blinders, they talk about the gypsies in the UK.
The Peaky Blinders are really good friends with gypsies. They believe in magic, gypsy medicine, all that other stuff. Just to recap, it's everywhere. Romani were known as the Roma. They were Indo-Aryan ethnic people, traditionally nomadic itinerants. They lived in Europe, all across Europe, and they've spread out across the globe like everybody else has over the past couple of thousand years.
Very
heavily
communal.
In Romania, France, Germany, Ukraine, and actually the most Romani, the biggest Romani collection of people, the biggest gypsy collection of people in the world, 1 million in the United States of America. Isn't that fascinating?
That's
wild. Did we just fucking learn something about being a gypsy and being Romani?
But
just by having a conversation about whether or not something is rude. Isn't this fucking nice?
Can I? You know what? Nice? You know what I think we should do moving forward is
come up with more slangs.
No, not that. No, I think, and this is kind of to Lynn's point. If let's just say something comes out of my mouth that is potentially offensive, but I am unaware of the fact that it's offensive.
It's probably going to be you. Yes.
Yeah.
It might be me. I may not have intended to be offensive or trying to actually hurt somebody's feelings by the use of this word. That's exactly what I said to Jimmy, because Jimmy was worried. He goes, "Oh no, have I upset anybody?" And I said, listen, I think your attempt, your use of the word in the video when we were putting this thing together was to make a comment about how much I was charging you for my Uber ride. And so that you were not trying to be offensive to anybody. You were just trying to be descriptive. And he didn't have the intent of being offensive. So maybe we should make that part of the deal moving forward. If they're, listen, not going to use that word anymore. For
society or for us? You mean?
For everybody. I'm talking about society. If there wasn't an attempt to be offensive, maybe bring it up like it was brought up to us. Nobody was offended. Nobody said, "I'm writing a letter," right? "I hope you go to hell." They just said, "Hey, I think this word, I don't know if you're supposed to use it anymore. Heads up." That's a great way of doing this. And then we can have a discussion about it. All right.
Seems
now I learned something.
I agree, but
you can't get more followers on Twitter by having a normal conversation. You got to call people out for it.
And I think Stephen Fry said it best. Stephen Fry said it best, and I'll pull it up here. And it's now very common to hear people say, "I'm rather offended by that," as if it gives them certain rights. It's no more than a whine. It has no meaning, and it has no purpose, and it has no reason to be respected as a phrase. I'm offended by that. Well, so fucking what?
Yeah. Brilliant. And, the more I read, the older I get, the more I read, and I'm heavy into cognitive behavioral therapy, I've realized one thing. We choose offense. And the reason why we choose offense is because we've got these deep-seated insecurities where we're like, that person's getting too close to my feelings. And we snap. And we decide that out of some fucking Fugazi principle that we've decided we want to live our life by, we're going to make everybody else pay for not knowing that they touched us in the feels. It's like, dude, anytime I see somebody today take offense to anything that I say, and I choose my words very carefully, 60% of the time. But anytime someone said, well, maybe 70.
Is your calculator broken?
We're going with 60.
Do you know how to calculate percentages?
Not really, no.
I didn't think so.
I'm bad at math. No, I'm not doing it right now. But every time that someone chooses to take offense to something, and they say that offended me, like last night. So just this terrible story out of the Monday Night Football game. Did you guys watch that Bengals-Bills game last night?
Oh my god!
Or tried to?
I saw it on
live. Yeah.
I watched the World Junior game. I watched the Connor Bedard goal, and we were literally coming downstairs. Oh my god, what a goal! And we were literally coming downstairs, and I was like, I should just throw the game on to see Monday night because it's the Bengals and my Bills. And I had Twitter open. And I looked and it was exploding. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I called a friend of mine that's watching the game. And I said, what's going on? He goes, oh man, this kid, he took a hit. He went down. I think he's hurt really bad. They were performing CPR on the field. And I'm like, did they stop at any point? And he goes, no. And they were performing it longer than they should have. And I'm like,
9 minutes.
Wow, that's
no, he was gone without for 9 minutes and they performed it for 25.
25 minutes?
25 minutes. And it kept going in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. I don't know if they tried to shock him.
His heart stopped on the field.
For several minutes. Yeah. And for each minute that goes by that you can't resuscitate someone, the number, and I read this today, chances of resuscitation go down by 10% for each minute that goes by. Yeah. So if he didn't get proper CPR for several minutes, I mean, you're talking 70, 80% chance he was going to die in the field. There is good news.
Insane.
Ray Rout's going to join us. Our football guy, sports guy, is going to join us in a couple minutes to talk about this. Kind of give us details because he made a few phone calls last night, kind of found out some stuff. The young man's name is Damar Hamlin. He's a second-year player. He's a safety. He went to tackle this guy named Tee Higgins last night, down 7-3. It was a great tackle. Took a hit right to the chest, and no, it was right to the chest. So it was like
I thought he had hit
here.
the head.
No, it was right in the breadbasket. Yeah,
right
in the
here. And so he gets hit in the chest. He tries to stand up. I'm not going to play the video because it's disturbing. He tries to stand up a little bit and then kind of wobbles back and forth. And then, we've all seen it. He slowly goes back and dies. right?
Yeah.
Dead for several minutes as medics from both teams run onto the field and perform CPR furiously. On the field before they left, they were able to establish a heartbeat, which is fucking unbelievable. And they intubated him, put him in the ambulance. He goes down to the University of Cincinnati Hospital where he is still in critical condition. We have some decent news, though. His business manager, this guy named Jordan, he was like, hey, listen, I want everybody to know my guy's okay. He's still in critical condition. I don't know to the extent, that's the wrong slide. My bad. I don't know to the extent that he woke up, but his business manager, dude named Jordan Cooper, he's like, hey, they've got vital signs are good. Yeah. Everything looks okay. He was asleep last night. We're going to have an update on him today, but he's with his family today, and he's still in critical condition. We'll wait for the hospital update. Now, that's out of safety, right? That's so people don't start talking, people don't start yamming, people don't start saying, well, this is what happened, because we're watching the anti-vaxxers fucking lose their minds over this. It's like, this is really important for them. They want this to be true. And I'm not talking about that portion of this today. They can all go fuck themselves. Dude got hit in the chest at the exact wrong time for his heart rhythm. And I believe, from what I understand from several doctors who have kind of weighed in on major news networks, talked about it on different television shows, reputable ones. It's something called commissio cordis, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Linz? I got that right?
It's a
common, like that. I read the same thing.
Sports injury that happens in baseball a lot too. Yeah. If a player gets hit in the chest, because it's a very direct hit right at the heart. Like, it has to be like almost perfect on the heart, where it just knocks it out of senses. It doesn't know what to do, and it knocks the electrical rhythm of the heart out. And you go into what's called ventricular fibrillation, VFib.
Yes.
And it knocks you, and your heart just does this. And it doesn't know how to beat anymore. And that's why when you see them bring the paddles out, all the paddles do, they don't actually like
just get it back on rhythm.
Yeah, if there is no rhythm there at all, the paddles do nothing. It's to get it back onto that regular beat. And he was in trouble. He was in trouble the minute he was hit yesterday.
That doesn't take away from the fact, Linz, that the vaccine was an experimental drug.
That's true. That is true. I did learn on Twitter about 4 minutes after it happened that it was vaccine related, confirmed vaccine related by the fucking assholes on Twitter. I learned that yesterday.
Listen,
it was.
Remember when this happened to Chris Pronger about 15 years ago? Do you remember when it happened to the dude that, I can't remember his name, Dallas player, happened to him on the bench?
Yes,
years ago, happened to a Detroit
off.
Red Wings defenseman. I can't remember his name.
Pucks
same thing.
too,
Pucks to the chest, dude. It happens in hockey, soccer, happens in golf, happens all kinds of things. When your heart just gets interrupted. Apparently now, let me just kind of bring this home. Commissio cordis is Latin for agitation of the heart. Often a lethal disruption of the heart's rhythm occurs as a result of a blow to the area directly over the heart, the precordial region, at a critical time during the cycle of the heartbeat, right on the upswing of that third heartbeat.
It has to happen at a perfect time, is what I was reading, which
it happens
was suggesting.
In car accidents as well. A lot of car accidents where somebody hits the steering wheel. If it happens right at the right time, they could be fine. It could be a minor accident, but they die of cardiac arrest because their heart literally gets shit kicked.
It sits there and goes, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Fuck, shut down.
Like your heart goes, oh, fuck. And then it just kind of sits like this. And then the body. And that's why, like, no blood was pumping to his brain. He falls down. Yeah. And again, this is not a diagnosis. This is not what happened. We don't know what happened. This is generally speaking what the majority of cardiologists and what everybody in the football community, every doctor is saying, this is what it looks like. This is probably what it is. And it's happened in sports for years, and it is very difficult to watch because you just saw a dude die. Did you see the reaction from the Bills players yesterday too?
Yeah.
Just apoplectic.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anything like that. I'm going to put the video up, and this is the video of them getting
really rattled
into the ambulance. And this is Damar Hamlin getting into the ambulance. They had established a heartbeat at that point. But this is why they didn't finish the game last night. They ended it in the first quarter. The NFL puts a press release out.
Yes, they should,
and they're like, hey, listen, we don't think we're even going to make up. We might not have to make up the game.
I think the coaches had to get together and tell the NFL, though,
Yeah, they did. They
The
got on
NFL
phone with Troy
wanted them.
Vincent.
Come on, boys,
Roger
shake it
Goodell.
off. Let's go. We got some
Yeah.
money to make.
Yeah, I understand. I understand the players were like locking
Toyota
arm in arm,
ads.
saying we're not fucking going back on the field. Yeah.
No, and they shouldn't have. Right.
Anyway,
Like,
here's the video. This is them actually making like and a lot of the players can watch it. This is what I found so powerful about this video is that they're surrounding him as a team. Players are looking the other way, crying, just trying to protect their guy, right? While he's being worked on by professionals. I thought this was powerful.
What's up, Robbie? I got you here. You're gonna shit. Oh my God.
There you go. Weird, isn't it? This is
They're
one of the
before
weirdest.
grace. Yeah, they're before the grace of God is what they're saying, right? That could have been them. It could have been any one of them.
Yeah. Wild. Ray Rout joins us from Who's Got Next, the podcast. Ray Rout is in the house. First guy I DM'd last night. I'm watching the game. I'm like, can you believe this shit, Ray? What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was brutal. It affected me. I was up all night, not thinking about it, but my brain was just in hyperdrive last night as I was just having these vivid, weird dreams. And I know my psyche, when something's bugging me, I'll just continue to go through the night. But yeah, I mean, as it happened, it's not the first time it's happened in professional sports where we've seen a player collapse. It happened in hockey a few years ago in the NHL. It happened in the Euro last summer, I believe. So it's not.
Yeah, was it the Danish soccer player, that Christian Eriksen guy that passed? Yeah. Same thing.
I don't remember that one.
Collapsed. I think, whenever, I mean, listen, people drop of cardiac arrest every day. Unfortunately, for this young man, it happened during a national broadcast, and it not just a national broadcast. It happened on primetime football when there's nothing else happening in the world. And it's just scary, right? Because you go watch a football game, you go to play a football game, you watch it on television. You're kind of ready for an injury. You're ready for someone to get hit. You're ready for, a knee to explode, even a concussion. I don't think you're ever ready just to see the way he fell and collapsed and the way it happened.
He died, dude.
Yeah, it's awful. And that hit, I mean, right now they know it was a cardiac episode. Mm-hmm. I know there's people on Twitter and doctors on Twitter saying it's because he took the hit to the chest. There's nobody that is actually taking care of him as medically has confirmed that. So we don't know what it is. It hit home to me though. And I put this out on Twitter this morning at like 5:00 in the morning. This one hit me because in 2014, when I was 28 years old, I got a new job and had to go get some routine physical just to get the job, whatever. And it was done and done. And I got diagnosed with something called VTAC, which you guys might know.
Ventricular tachycardia. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an irregular heartbeat, and my resting heart rate when I was in the doctor was 94. Just so an average professional athlete is 50 of a resting heartbeat, and I was at 94. So and I had no symptoms. I didn't have chest pains. I didn't have short of breath. That was at a time that I was going to the gym every day. No clogged arteries. Everything's great. I was literally going to get a piece of paper signed so I could start a job, and diagnosed me and found out my heart was basically a ticking time bomb. So to see it happen to a 24-year-old kid, like, it hit home to me because I know that I got really lucky that I happened to get a new job and had to do this physical, or they never would have caught this condition. So we don't know what happened. We don't know if he already had some sort of heart arrhythmia that wasn't picked up in his August physicals. It's just a scary moment. And again, I don't like, our psyche is not ready for that type of event. We're ready. We're ready for head-on collision. We're ready. I'm sorry to say, we're ready for someone to be paralyzed. We know that's a part of the game. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, you have one of those things, but to watch a regular football play and the kid to stand up and just fall over. I mean, I was shook after that.
I was too, and I want to get your impression of what happened after that. I mean, as Ryan has said, but for the grace of God, right? I mean, if you believe in the cat, whatever. I mean, it could be any one of us, and no one gets to decide when it comes for us. Nobody gets to decide when it is, what happens, as freaky or as warranted as death might be from time to time. it's, when your number's up, doesn't matter what it is.
Mhm.
But what I took out of that was the shock on the players' faces. And you know what? You're going to laugh at me. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, the way that they emotionally tried to kind of meander their way through whatever that was in the broadcast. I mean, and I also have a problem with that as well, because I knew by 10:30 he was breathing. His vitals were back because his business manager, Jordan Cooper, was like, hey, just want everybody to know he's intubated. And by 12 o'clock, Scott Van Pelt, and I give everybody involved in that broadcast a lot of credit, because it's really difficult to do something like that. But it was like they stayed with the idea that he might not be with us anymore for like the entire broadcast. And on top of that,
did you get that?
Yeah,
I didn't. I didn't
not get that.
Yeah, a little bit. I got
Did
that.
you?
You got
Okay.
how serious it was.
almost like a clickbait sort of mentality at the same time.
Stated everybody to say he was alive and in critical condition, but breathing and all the others. They didn't say anything. And I know they got to err on the side of caution. To me, Ray, it just seemed like it was overcooked all night long. Not the seriousness of it, but I would have wanted a few more updates, because this wasn't, to me, like everybody's fighting about the game, whether it should be canceled. Skip Bayless is fucking losing his mind because he's a piece of shit. And it was, to me, last night was just about Damar Hamlin. It wasn't about anything else. It was about the idea that a 24-year-old in perfect health, an athletic specimen, that could happen right there, right?
Mhm.
And everything else, none of it mattered to me. But it seemed to really drag on during the entire broadcast. And I know they got a full time, but I knew he was breathing and his vitals were back an hour and a half before the end of that show last night. Like at 12 o'clock, I stopped watching it. And I'm like, come on. Like, we even put out a story about it. Anyway, it just seemed like everybody had their angle last night. And I just wanted to make sure that Damar Hamlin was okay. And I believe the family put out an update today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, which was basically there's no update.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing, right? You were calling for the update, but as Joe Buck said, they didn't have an official update. They had a bunch of people on Twitter, which we know is not a reliable source. How many times have we seen massive updates on Twitter that turn out to be bullshit, right?
Yeah.
I kind of actually, I felt for those announcers last night. I mean, I was trying to imagine if I was, and it's not the same world, but I used to do, play-by-play for different companies for online things. And I was trying to put myself in the position of trying to carry on this conversation, because I'm expected to be on air and you're getting no credible updates at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, his ambulance was at the stadium for a long time after he left the field. And I think, you could hear, I thought they handled themselves well. I mean, they put Booger McFarlane in, they went right to him, and
Great name.
But he handled himself with class. And I think, though, when it comes to Booger, when it comes to Troy Aikman, they were talking to Ryan Clark after on ESPN when they cut away from the show. You could hear the emotions in these guys' voices, because these are former players. And these are guys that have been there, done that, and seen everything. And as they all said, none of them have ever seen that. And you could see the outpour on social media from players, how they were all just in shock, because it's again, you're more ready for someone to be paralyzed from the shoulders down, because that's the risk of playing the game. Then you're ready for one of your teammates or brothers or comrades, whatever you want to just fall over, because of a cardiac episode. And I think that's where the whole breakdown goes. And I felt for that broadcast. I kept thinking, like, and they kept cutting, Adam Schefter was trying to fill time, and I kept thinking, like, fuck, like, just let them go.
Gotta be
like,
hard.
let them end this broadcast. How much longer do you want them to go?
That's what
I would feel like a drag.
Time,
Yeah.
They could not cut away. What I was more, I mean, we're getting on the broadcast, dragging it out. Let's put out the fact that it took until almost 11 o'clock.
That's where my mind was.
Officially cancel and suspend that game. And I still, to this day, believe that if Zach Taylor wasn't there, they would have played the game. I think McDermott was almost ready to put his guys back on the field. I really do. And it was Zach Taylor. I mean, they went over. The referee said, you guys got 5 minutes to warm up. We're going to restart after the ambulance came off the field. And it was Zach Taylor who walked across the field and said, no, we're not. and sent, and the two coaches sent themselves to the locker room. Zach Taylor walked to the Buffalo Bills locker room to talk to McDermott, and that's when they got on the phone with the NFL. I mean, no fucking decision was made. And, surprise, 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 the fucking worst human beings in the world who run the National Football League, I think they were going to make them fucking play, which is why Roger put out a statement today that, we're suspended. And they denied the whole 5-minute thing. And ESPN just fucking fired back and said, no, we were in communication with NFL officials. And that's what the NFL officials told us.
Yeah. So how much of that? That's the biggest story. Yeah, go ahead, Locke. Sorry,
Dean. That's what I thought. I understand where you're going with it, and we automatically focus on the announcers and what they're doing, and why aren't you getting the information out? But when I tuned in, I didn't see the hit, so it was after it happened, and I was like, why aren't they calling this? Like I went where Ray went. Because they were fucking hanging these announcers out to dry.
Yeah.
And I think they legitimately, I have no idea about the behind the scenes, but I think that they were trying to convince the teams on the field to shake it off and keep going. This is a big playoff game, guys. Lots of implications here. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing? It's just a kid. He's 24. He'll bounce back. We got his heart going.
But, we talk about hockey culture being a pain in the ass that way all the time, but football culture is even worse. Ryan Clark, who I don't know if you've ever watched him lay a hit on one of his mixtape videos, Ray. That guy was a truck. He's lost organs playing the game. Yep. And he was commentating with Scott Van Pelt last night, and he was talking about how difficult it is for people to understand that you go into those games and you're like, I'm willing to give my life for it, right? I'm willing to give an organ for it. I'm willing to die for this game. And that's not like a colloquial joke. It's for fucking real. And, when you see it happen and which everybody did last night, and a guy like Ryan Clark standing over Scott Van Pelt going like, I don't think anybody really understands what goes into that. All that emotion, the build up into this game, and then boom, your teammate's dead. And to your point, and I appreciate the conversation now because I'm coming around to the idea that they were milking it. They're trying to fucking hang on there for the NFL to make a call an hour after this whole thing fucking happened because the NFL absolutely wanted to have that fucking game played. Yeah. And none of the players could.
Well,
it's unbelievable.
I don't want to make it worse, but they also got their stop sets in.
Yeah, they did. They got all the commercials in, right?
Well, and that's what I think we're hanging a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of a couple of sports donkeys to mitigate the waters of somebody who's potentially dead.
Yeah.
And and without information, trying to keep
I don't know. Scott Van Pelt was unbelievable. Like, I really appreciated the job that he and Ryan Clark did last night over the whole thing. And listen, here's an update too. A little update. You want some good news? Is that he's breathing and he's with his family and they're going to give an update. You want another good news update? Oh, yeah. This young man, Damar Hamlin, has a GoFundMe set up, which is in our description. You can go check it out. To raise $2,500 a year to buy just $2,500. You could just donate GoFundMe for kids that needed like toys in the Buffalo area that came from disadvantaged areas. You know how much is in that thing today because of that? Over $4 million.
I saw it this morning at 2.6 mil.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. I love it. Hey, can I just jump in here too? Because I think that this is, and again, maybe Ray can weigh in here too, and maybe give probably a little more context
Ray, when you're done, because you got the full like work outfit on, just make sure you bring me a well done pepperoni with anchovies.
Yeah.
All right.
How is Papa John anyway?
And light mayo. Light mayo.
Go ahead. Tell me to fuck off.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway, so I think our concept of sports is different than somebody that grows up in the U.S. in an area like Buffalo, where I mean it's tough, right? And sometimes your only way out as a young man is you know what? I got to get a scholarship. And I got to be good at this sport, or I got to excel at this, right? And then you get there and you're one of thousands of fucking kids that can run a 40 and whatever it is. And you have this unbelievable ability and you've worked your whole life, and there's this big fucking paycheck at the end of it. And man, your career is, you talk about your career is short in football, so you got to make the best of it. And you're 24 years of age, you're on the fucking practice squad. Somebody gets hurt, they throw you into a game, you get a couple of games under your belt, you're playing Monday night fucking football. Man, it's, I think that the player's reaction, you're not going to get the same reaction in other sports. Football is that sport where these guys, this is their way out of a shitty situation, right? And they're generally, a lot of them are like, it's one out of that whole fucking high school that got a chance. And I just don't think we get the impact of what it means to somebody to get a chance to play that sport and make that kind of fucking money and escape that kind of the
how
life
important
that
it
they
is
had.
to them, their families, right? And this kid was an incredible kid, right, Ray? Like the stories that I'm hearing about him and his mom and his family, and this is kind of, again, silver lining, is how close he was with his family. He was a mama's boy, obviously, single parent home, and his mom took him to everything. And, he wanted to give back, so he started this little thing, and he became a starter in week 3 this year and was like an impact safety for this team. Like, he's an important part of that team, right? But it underscores, the humanity that I saw in the NFL last night. I don't know that I've seen it. And to your point, if it weren't for the head coach of the Bengals and the head coach of the Bills saying, we're going to take care of the men that play this game that just had to watch that. We're going to take care of them, and we're going to tell you that we're not playing. That's my understanding, is that's kind of what happened on the phone with like Troy Vincent and Roger Goodell at the end of the night. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. It was the coaches who stood up for their guys, stood up for their players. And I think that was the big thing, which again goes back to, I think it's unfair to, there's, I don't know. You guys are broadcasters. I'll ask you guys. I'll turn the question to you. Is there a manual for when this stuff happens? Like, were you guys on air when 9/11 hit? Yeah. Like, how do
Dean
you
was?
Yeah. How do you throw to tool? You know what I mean, in a situation like that, or how do you throw to a shitty commercial in a shitty situation like that? You know what I mean? Like it's. I feel for guys that they're stuck on.
We went live.
You're stuck on air, and I will say, with 9/11 too, there's probably more to talk about than, they took them away in an ambulance and we're waiting for updates, right? Yeah. And I'm not diminishing either event, but like is there a manual for this kind of stuff, or are these guys kind of just sitting there going, they're like, hey, kill time, and they just
what makes it
kill time, get in the commercials. Locke brought up a great point. That broadcast went on for hours and hours and hours and became somewhat sensational, somewhat personal, all that other stuff last night. But to Lachlan's point, that thing went the full 4 hours, and they milked the fuck out of it because they had to get the commercials in. I mean, the business of this, where it meets the humanity of it, kind of fucking grosses me out, to be honest with you, Ray. And to your answer, the answer is, and I was on the air for September 11th, right when it happened. We had hundreds of people watching outside for hours. It was on for, 9-10 hours that day. Like, literally doing live radio. There's no handbook for it. It's hand holding. It's just like, fuck, you got to stretch it out. You got to make it happen, and you got to focus and that's the hard part, trying to find other things to talk about, right? And try
other angles.
Try not to overdo like the nightmare that everybody just kind of fucking took in.
And you have to be polite by telling the puppetry of the penis people that they can't be on the radio that day.
Yeah, we had guys with their wieners in their hands when the flames flew right into the thing. They were practicing, like trying to turn their dicks into like hamburgers and wind sails and stuff like that.
I fucking love that.
Oh, yeah.
Why is you tie that together? I don't know.
It's probably an inappropriate time for you guys to come on.
We're gonna. Can we have you back next week? So I think the other thing too that you have to think about, and this will seep into your psyche as a broadcaster as well, Ray. I wasn't on the air, but I was in the building when it happened, and I was like lower level management, and the guys on air were like, "Look, I don't know what to fucking do. I mean, I don't want to come out of back. I don't want to be back selling Def Leppard here when the world's on fire." And I went, "Fuck, stop playing music." And they're like, "What?" Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, just go live." And I know a handful of broadcasters in North America did what we did on that day, and I think a lot of people followed suit. But we were one of the only shows in Winnipeg that went live right away. And like Dean, our morning show stayed on the air for hours and hours past the time that they were supposed to be on. And the thing that that you have to, that there's no manual, and there's people that are good and bad at negotiating those types of waters. And you can see, I saw it in the broadcast last night, and you know what? I mean, I was intrigued by it because I'm watching from the perspective of somebody that, you know, putting myself in there. I mean, what would I would do? Would I have that person on it? She was pretty good. That, you know what? There's a real moment there. You can see such and such is kind of angry with the NFL for dragging this out. Like, those are real fucking moments, but also watching his words, because that's his employer. Like, you can get all that if you're paying enough attention. The other thing that we forget, and this is something that was painfully brought to my attention after Humboldt, right? We had that awful bus crash and all those kids died, and it was brutal, right? And about 2-3 months later, I was walking my dog around St. Albert, and I noticed a monument to one of the kids that died, and I'm like, oh fuck! I was on the air that day. There was kids from this town that died in that fucking bus, right? Like, and you have a moment of, was I respectful enough? Did I handle that okay? Sitting there watching, what if somebody from that family tuned in that morning? Were they okay with how I dealt with it, right? You have that moment too, where it becomes real to you and what you're doing and how you're presenting a tough story, right?
Mm.
Well, and I'm going through something similar to that right now, not from a broadcasting standpoint, but people, across social media, they know me as the football guy. And this afternoon, I would say later this afternoon, I started getting DMs of people asking me how this affects the standings and if this game can't play. And this was, I mean, if we take what happened out of it from an absolute football standpoint, that was a huge game last night. And if that can't be played, that's going to have major ripples and implications across the standings in the AFC. And so the question was, like, what happens if they don't play? How does that affect tiebreakers? How does it do this? And how does it do that? And a part of me is struggling with, when not am I allowed, but when do I feel comfortable to actually tweet something outside of, prayers for Hamlin? Like, when does, because at some point I have to get back to talking about football. I can't talk about this the rest of my life, right? How much time is enough time? Because you know what? I kind of have those same questions in my head. I'm not asking anybody. I haven't reached out to any of the people I know about it. Because I think right now they're kind of in the same boat I am. We might have it in the back of our head, but we don't want to talk about it. I messaged our boys over at Hashtag, and I just said to them, "You doing all right?" Because I know that it affected Paul especially, but I know Mario was shook up by it. It was like, the guys are fucked up about this right now, and then even some of the reporters I know who do the beat in Buffalo. Our conversations and text back and forth today have just been like, hey, have you heard anything about him? How's it going? And I'm starting everything with, I'm not trying to report anything. I just want to know, right? Like, I just, I can't keep refreshing Twitter every 3 minutes, and they're in the same boat as me. But I think that based on, a few conversations I've had today, I think a lot of us are kind of in that, like, okay, at what point is it okay to start talking about the implications of this game again?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because I had a moment this morning where I was getting ready for the show, and I was like, oh, fuck, I should send Ray a note. I was like, he's going to be too rattled. That was tough. I'm gonna leave him alone.
I couldn't have done it off the cup.
yeah, and I didn't because I knew, I didn't know, but I had a real strong suspicious feeling that hit last night and what happened to that kid, 20 fucking 4, that was gonna stick with you for a while, right? Yeah. I you know what? Listen, I think as a broadcaster, Ray, as somebody that people look to for information about football, I think it's okay for you to tell, the odd person in your DM to go pound sand. Like, let's not worry about the standings right now. Listen, let's just worry about this kid and whether or not, he's going to recover okay, before we start talking about the implications of the playoffs for the Bills, right?
Well, it's a big deal too because the NFL put out a statement today. NFL update on Bills Bengals game week 18 schedule. Because listen, this is as not important as it was last night after Damar Hamlin left the field. In 20 minutes of CPR. Not important yesterday. Still not important today until we figure out what's going on with him. Obviously,
but it's massive.
That's what I was going to say.
implications.
Like, wait for like a definitive update from somebody in charge, and then maybe we can have a chat. Right?
It is, but I'm going to lay this out. And
hang on, let me get through this one thing. I hadn't asked my question yet.
Sorry.
I was trying to ask a question, Ray.
Go ahead.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
NFL continues to be regular contact. This is the note with the medical team caring for Damar Hamlin, also the Bills Bengals organizations, NFL Players Association. After speaking with both teams in the NFLPA leadership, and I found this interesting. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell informed the clubs today Bills Bengals game will not be resumed this week. NFL has made no decision regarding the possible resumption of the game at a later date. League has not made any changes to the Week 18 schedule. Therefore, I have no idea what that means, Ray. Do you?
That means the game may not be played, which
Might
means...
not have to be.
What's that?
Might not have to be.
Well, hold on.
How do they do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. And I'm going to talk football for a second because I think it's important.
That's why I called you.
Yeah,
We'll allow you. We'll allow you.
Yeah.
Ray.
As of right now, the Buffalo Bills are in second place, which means they don't have a first round bye, and which means if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, they would probably have to go to Kansas City and play the Chiefs. If they won last night, they have the first seed, and Kansas City's going to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be that guy for a second. Today,
We'll allow.
Buffalo Bills fans don't have a problem with this game being canceled. They don't, and I get it. We're all in that same emotional turmoil. I don't know how they're going to feel in the AFC Championship game if they're at Arrowhead Stadium again. I don't know how they're going to feel if they're in Kansas City. I don't know if they're going to have the same compassion they have now, 5 weeks removed from the incident. And I'm being optimistic that Hamlin's okay and on the mend and recovery.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
It's part of the conversation, though, Ray.
Yeah,
It
this
is,
game,
right?
this game was a big deal, and it's again. And I'm struggling internally to talk about this because this 24-year-old kid is lying in a hospital bed fighting for his life right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just lost my uncle a month ago to cardiac arrest. So it's, and my own heart condition and my ticking time bomb, like this all hits home to me. But at the end of the day, I know at some point, this game, if not played, is going to bring up the discussion from Bills fans, because if they don't have the first seed, and I don't want to hear what they have to say today. You know what I mean? Because today they're fine with it. Everybody is. 4 or 5 weeks from now, people, especially sports fans, have the shortest memories in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Good
that's
point.
a good, especially NFL fans.
Yeah. Good point.
What about a neutral site? Does that appease both sides? Do you think?
Not Kansas
I mean,
City. If Kansas
Kansas
City has the
City,
first
that's true.
seed, they're not
Yeah.
going to, they're going to say, no, based on what happened this season, we get it. So again, and it wasn't something I wanted to come on and talk about today, but it is something that's going to be in people's minds.
It's going to come up.
Really
we're not
sorry.
talking about it. We're talking about like when they start talking about
We're
it. what
talking
they'll
about
talk
talking about it.
but they are starting to talk about it. That announcement today from the NFL is when the question started to me, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the whole, okay, I'm really sorry. I'm really worried for this kid, but my Buffalo Bills are no longer in first place. What's going on, Ray? How does this work, right? Because all of a sudden the sports fan, right? All of a sudden the sports fan is coming out of them. Suddenly the disconnection, and we do that, right? We do that a lot with sports.
Where we like the heaviness of the moment, you give it a couple weeks, the heaviness dies down, and then you get right back to being
heaviness
cutthroat.
of the moment.
Yeah.
I have seen guys carted off in neck braces, and we're past that moment 5 minutes later. We're right back into the game. We're right back into let's go, come on.
Yeah.
And the guys at the hospital with no movement in his fingers, right? Like
they were saying last night that the one reason this is awful, but the one reason why there was it was obviously it was an awful situation, But there was one commentator said, you know what? When guys get hauled off in an ambulance, everyone's waiting for that thumbs up from the player on the stretcher, right? And then that seems to be the okay. All right, guys, you can get back to killing each other, right? Or
get back into the game. Well, and I'm going to point out
that came up.
I'm going to point out too that at a point, and I'm sorry guys, I'm going to make this point. I have to jet and pick up my kids.
No,
but
I need you to leave too.
Yeah. But my last point is Stephon Diggs, while Hamlin was still on the field, gathered his guys together and was trying to get them focused and ready to play football again. Right?
Because he knows the NFL and he knows they're on the phone going, shake it off.
Yeah,
we got a game to play.
So it's tough, right?
Yeah,
those guys stayed in their pads for a long time last night. Like a lot of those guys were at least ready to concede that they'd have to get back on the field. Maybe
there was
not ready
one
to get
dude in a towel, which I thought was
that was Stephon Diggs.
That
was Diggs.
Yeah.
Diggs kind of sent the message to Sean McDermott. He got fully undressed. He's like, try and make his play. Go ahead and do it. And then Zach, what's his name? Zach, what's head coach's name again? Taylor. Zach Taylor from the Bengals comes over. He's like, hey, listen, if you don't want to play, we get it. He's like, my guys aren't playing, so might want to tell your guys.
Well, and I heard that Joe Burrow. I heard Joe Burrow went over to the Bills locker room as well. And apparently the conversation between him and Allen is there's no fucking way we're going back on the field.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
As it should have been. Good
Ray, go get your kids. Appreciate you doing
Thanks,
this.
gentlemen.
Buddy.
Good to
Thank
see you, Ray.
so much.
Good to see you.
As always, love to have you. Who's got next? Name of the podcast at _ What's your Twitter handle again? Ray.
What's up?
DPN Ray.
DPN Ray.
DPN _ Ray.
DPN. Okay. Talk to you soon. You got to go. Bye. He's got to go get his kids.
Don't forget the garlic dipping sauce.
This is real life, guys. Like, I gotta go. I'm still in my job skills uniform. I gotta go get my kids.
That's hilarious.
I'll chime in professionally to talk.
There's
about
a real fucking dedicated employee there, right there.
Right.
Like he's got the hat and the shirt. I can't even tell you how difficult the conversation.
Bring him back for radio.
You know how much?
How much more fun you'd have if every day you showed up in the same uniform as Jimmy, Grant, and every other on-air personality. You'd be
well.
great.
They'd be doing that show without me.
Yeah, I'd quit too.
Locke only wears his own merch.
That's right. He's an alpha male. Speaking of alpha males,
that's right.
This Andrew Tate
Hold on.
saga.
Don't segue that way into this.
I'm going to. You're an alpha male, just like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate. And by the way, it's like fucking shit eating season for alpha males now.
Oh yeah.
We've seen three of them literally taken in the hoop over the past few days. And we weren't on the air when Greta Thunberg literally destroyed Andrew Tate's life.
I don't even know who this guy is.
I didn't know who he was either until about 6 months ago. And I'm like, oh, this is the fucking American British version of Chris Sky that they're paying to fucking send around to cause problems. He's a provocateur. So that's who this guy is.
He kind of got notoriety from being
an alpha
an
male.
Anti-vaxxer.
No, not really. He's a former kickboxer.
Chauvinistic. Fucking
chauvinist piece of shit. His name's Andrew Tate, and he says he's a life coach. So let's get into it. He puts out a tweet last week to Greta Thunberg. Now, Greta Thunberg is maybe the world's most important eco-activist. She's 19 years old. She's autistic. She's brilliant, and she ends people's lives and careers on Twitter for fun. So he decides to wade into the deep end of the pool. He's like, hey, Greta Thunberg, I got 33 cars. My Bugatti has a 16 8-liter quad turbo. My 2 Ferrari 812 Competizione have 6.5 liter V12s. This is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send you a complete list of my collection and their enormous emissions. And a picture of him filling up a car in Dubai. That is a Bugatti. Now Greta replies, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me back at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. And Andrew replied to that, how dare you? And then he put out this video. Let's watch it together. And we'll go through where Andrew Tate is right now. This is a guy who's been telling everybody he's worth
he was wanted.
million.
He was wanted by authorities, though. Right?
No, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
Okay, hang in there. So he trades a couple tweets with the world's smartest teenager. She undresses him like the fucking douchebag Manchurian cocksucker he is, and he then snaps and he records this video. Let's watch it together, shall we?
Release some greenhouse gases. I'm obviously a stranger to online controversy. It's not something I often do. But now, the mainstream press is commenting on the fact that I was informing Greta that my very extensive car collection with internal combustion engines, which run on dead dinosaurs, have an enormous emission profile. And she replied by telling me her own email address. Greta's email address is, I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address, Greta? Strange. I mean, obviously I don't want to assume her gender. It's 50-50, but it is what it is. I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. Thank you. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix. She thinks she's doing good. Someone has sat her down and convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government to tax you into poverty to stop the sun from being hot. And then, because I called her out on it, the global Matrix got this bot farm to like and retweet and all this bot commenting to try and pretend that her telling me that she has a small dick in her own email address somehow teaches me a lesson. Welcome to a new episode of The Clown Show. But now I know, at least, that Greta, with her little hate-filled face, bitter, sitting somewhere without the heating on, in the cold, little hat, shivering, views my tweets, which is going to make my Twitter account far more fun into eternity.
There you go. So he records that video, his response, because he's triggered, right? 19-year-old just fucking
likable.
took him out of the talk. What's that? And
I said he's not very likable.
no, he's not a likable guy. And those pizza boxes may or may not have factored into it, but a day after he releases that video, Romanian police, Secret Service, and members of the European Union's sex trafficking unit arrested Andrew Tate and his brother for sex trafficking underage girls, trafficking underage women. Yeah, sex trafficking. That's exactly what happened.
Human trafficking.
Human trafficking. Let's have a little read. 2 women were also arrested with him. They were shown in a video who the Daily Mail named as whatever and whatever, a 28-year-old, 32-year-old. One is an influencer who's on Instagram posing on yachts and boats. The other one used to be a cop. Now she goes by a pseudonym named Ellie Dealey. Both women face allegations of helping Andrew Tate recruit at least 6 women into their online porn business. Like Tate, they were being and are being held in jail for 30 days pending the investigation. Andrew Tate is in a Romanian prison for at least 30 to 90 days until they do the investigation. Fuck, I love Romanian law. A police source told a local newspaper the Tate brother and his brother Tristan, these 2 girls, drew the attention of police by flaunting a lavish lifestyle on social media, which is not in keeping with their financial position. We'll get to that in a second. Romanian investigators alleged in a press release 6 women were victims of a trafficking scheme, at least one of whom was raped on camera. It doesn't say on camera here, but I've read that subsequently, and it is true. The group created an organized crime group with the purpose of recruiting, housing, and exploiting women by forcing them to create pornographic content meant to be seen on specialized websites for a cost, investigators have said. Tate and others were initially held for 24 hours. Romanian court decided to extend it 30 days. He has not responded to the allegations other than to say it's the deep state and he's caught in the Matrix, and this isn't a real lifestyle. So let me just again point this out.
Did Greta know that he was in trouble?
No, she just answered him. She's like, you got a tiny dick, and he does that video. And you know the pizza boxes in the video?
Yeah.
They're from a Romanian pizza chain, very famous one in Bucharest called Jerry's. So Romanian authorities, there is thinking, and I mean, it's out there whether or not it's true. Romanian authorities are like, oh, the fucking idiots in Romania. We know where he is. We're going to just call Jerry's and find out where that pizza went and when it's delivered. And they looked at the timestamp on the video, and then they went and picked him up. And the house he was in wasn't a mansion. It was this room that was created to look like it in a video. And it's like a little tiny house, and it's right off the airstrip of a private airstrip in Bucharest, Romania, which is where he has spent years trafficking women, apparently. So That's your alpha male. Alpha males are apparently female traffickers of underage kids. There you go.
I'm just curious because what I read is it made it sound like Greta, like.
No, that was the narrative that everybody was pushing. Was
Okay,
that
so it's
Greta
not-
was the one that put him.
She
No.
was
It was all coincidental. It was all
So no
coincidental.
one knew that he was in the middle of this. It was happenstance that he got
But
into a fight with Greta.
But her interaction with him
Was
put
the reason
them
for it. That makes more
on
sense.
the Romanian kind of docket, and the police are like, "Oh, we know where that fucking loser and his brother is. Let's go get him." And by the way, the first rape allegation for Andrew Tate and his brother happened July 2019. So it's been going on for 3 years. So I mean, the investigation into this guy. There is no Matrix, by the way, not one. He did the stuff. Number 2, he got arrested for it. Number 3, and it is shit-eating season for alpha males. I'm not done there either. Did you see Jordan Peterson?
Hang on. Before we move on from the pizza,
Jordo?
I just love that it's a Pizzagate that took him down.
Yeah.
And which they kept saying was a Pizzagate problem. And B, did you notice the acronym for the actual human trafficking organization that was a part of the investigation? The acronym is GRETA. It's the official acronym is Greta, and that's who took the guy down. And on top of that, Jerry's Pizza in Romania is in on the fun as well on their Twitter. If you go to their Twitter at Jerry's Pizza, they've got tons of funny shit ever since this happened because they're just soaking it up, right? So yeah, they're doing well. They're having a good time with it. So
It's fucking dude. It's one of the greatest Schadenfreude events of my lifetime. Like in this age that we live in, where these guys parade around like alpha males and tell you, hey, the only way to get what you want is to fucking take it. It's falling apart because when you take it and they're underage and you take them to Romania, it's called underage sex trafficking. Andrew Tate, you disgusting fuck. Just so you know. And speaking of which, Andrew Tate, connection to Jordan Peterson. He is currently engaged in a relationship with his daughter, Michaela. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson's daughter.
Is it current?
Oh, yeah.
Is it current? I don't know if it was current or not.
Off and on.
Yeah.
They met each other through Jordan Peterson. Jordan's like, you know what, honey, you should be with that guy because he's a Christian guy who believes in the weird shit that we believe in. So she got knocked up by some Russian handler of hers. And then she goes and hooks up with this Andrew Tate guy about a year ago. And they have this wild, crazy fucking 3 months. And now she lives in Romania. That's where Jordan Peterson's daughter lives. And Jordan took it in the face today, too. God, I love this time that we live in. It couldn't be any fucking better. Jordan puts this tweet out today. Breaking. The Ontario College of Psychologists, CPO Ontario, has demanded I submit myself to mandatory social media communication retraining with their experts for, among other crimes, retweeting Pierre Poilievre and is criticizing Justin Trudeau and his political allies. He goes on. He's not done there. I've been accused of harming people, although none of the complaints involved the current action were clients of mine, past or present. They weren't even acquainted with my clients. This guy's so stupid and fucked. I am to take a course of such training with reports documenting my progress or face an in-person tribunal and suspension of my right to operate as a licensed clinical psychologist. About a dozen people from all over the world submitted complaints about my public statements on Twitter and Joe Rogan over a 4-year period out of the 15 million who follow me on social media, claiming I had harmed people, not them, with my views. Elon Musk chimes in. He says he fucking can't believe it. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, and I called someone there. They told me there were thousands of complaints, not 12, not a half a dozen, not 15, not even a baker's dozen, not even 20. Thousands of complaints from actual psychologists from around the world. Who are like, that guy's fucking sick, and you need to get his license and remove it from him before he hurts anybody anymore. And that's what's happening. It is shit-eating season for all these guys. Sit back and enjoy it. Jordan Peterson is going to lose everything, and I am fucking stoked about it. I love the time we live in, fellas.
He calls himself a psychologist, right? And I've thought about this. Yeah, I've thought about this a couple of times. Right? Like, I wonder what people think that are in his profession. Do you know what I mean? Like, how are they viewing what he's doing? And that's that's the other thing. I have had, ironically, in the last couple of years, I've had more than a couple of conversations with people that have gotten sort of sucked into the Jordan Peterson realm without what we live in is a bubble. We live in a Twitter bubble. So we're kind of aware of his craziness.
Mhm.
Not a lot of this is a small percentage of the population. So his tentacles get out there and he'll get people into, get him sucked into his vortex.
Yeah.
And I've had to point out, like, he's not well. Like, just do a little bit of research about where he's at right now, please. Like, this is not somebody that you should be following or taking advice from or spending money on his books. The guy's not right in the head. And if for whatever reason you're gravitating to his work, you need to look into why. Maybe do a little bit of,
Soul searching,
figure out where you're at. I mean,
maybe pick up golf or like
something.
go
Or a
hunting.
book. Or another
Go
book.
hunting for animals. Pick up a book. Yeah, do whatever you do.
it's true though. I mean, there's
well,
a
not
lot
only,
of people out there are not aware of how crazy he is. Like,
Oh, he's fucking nuts. And let
he's
me just
gone
kind of
off
let me put this out here for you too. This is what I love about shit eating season with the alpha males and the guys who are like, gotta take what you want. Fuck that. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. Fuck you. Fuck climate change. Fuck equality. Fuck the trans people. Fuck the gay people. Fuck them all. That's what we're seeing is the undressing of that entire movement. Because these guys are all duplicitous, fucking evil, fucking litigious, criminal assholes. That's the entire event. That's all they're doing. And to that point, and frauds, all of them frauds. Like Andrew Tate, do you know who funds him? You know who funds his lifestyle? You know who he is? A character. He is an NPC. He has been made up to be a character in this movement by a guy named Peter Thiel and someone who we've had on this show named Glenn Greenwald. They pay him for that act. That is an act. That is not real. And do you know who he's associated with? All the guys at the Daily Caller. All of them. He's associated with Jordan Peterson. This guy.
Yeah.
They're all part of the same fucking dummy cabal. That's all they are. They're just a bunch of fucking losers who banded together to say, we got to fight people who are trying to make the world a better place. Otherwise, we'll lose our white privilege.
But they believe it.
That's totally.
What's a little bit scary about it. And the other thing that's a little bothersome about it is that there's an appetite for what they're handing out. That to me is something we don't need to get into today, but I think it's something that needs to be part of the conversation. It's like
that's
when
been
we
around
get into
forever though, Locke. That's been around. I don't think it's an appetite. I think it's just somebody validating it to the point where these idiots are coming out from under their rocks and being able to vocalize it now. That's what these guys are enabling is the vocalization of those
guys
fucking
like
beliefs.
Andrew Tate give them cover, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
they
there's a
make it
tent,
cool and popular
Yeah.
to be an asshole, right? Have you
There's
actually
a
read his 12 rules, by the way? Jordan Peterson's 12
No,
rules.
I can't bring myself to.
Let's go
Is
over.
wash your penis one of them?
No.
Yeah.
These are his 12 rules for life. And by the
that
way,
cost?
he's never published a paper, nothing peer reviewed. He has never done anything in the world of psychology to contribute to the academia of psychology. Not one. Donald J. Robertson, an actual psychiatrist, a guy who's like the master of cognitive behavioral therapy on this show, has informed us of that. That is a fact. So he has to do shit like this. 12 rules for life. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Rule number 1. Whoa, good one. Rule number 2, treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. Number 3, befriend people who want the best for you. I don't know.
Embrace yes men is what he said.
Embrace yes men.
Yeah.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Don't do comparison living. Get better. I like that one. So number 4 is not bad. Number 5, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. That's where I have a full stop. If your kids do anything that makes you dislike them, you're a cock who shouldn't be a parent. Fact. Number 6, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Okay. There's no such thing as perfect order. And if Jordan Peterson's the guy giving that advice who just came out of a benzo/meat coma for 3 years in Russia, maybe not the guy to be saying that. And I'm not going to take that advice. Number 7, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Not bad. Number 8, tell the truth or at least don't lie. Yeah, well, fucking, it's in the
Seems
Bible.
like he's
idiot.
trying to give himself an out there.
That's deep.
Or at
Wow.
least, don't lie. Assume the person, number 9.
We're leaving a door open.
Assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Yeah, well, you've never done that once, Jordan. So fuck.
He's
like the
never
guy's
done
got all the answers and everybody else is wrong. So
That was not bad, though.
if he doesn't follow his own advice, I'm not following him. He's fucked there too. Be precise in your speech. Nothing
I'm
to do
against
with
that.
your life.
But that, let me stop on that one. That one
Yeah.
there. So if that's the case, then exactly what comes out of your mouth cannot be misconstrued, Peterson, and we know who you are by what you say. So
Yeah, if he's
you're
precise
shooting yourself
in
in
his
the
speech,
foot.
he loves Jesus, hates people, and thinks he's here to save men from something. God sent him. That's pretty precise. Don't bother children when they are skateboarding. That's number 11.
You know what? It's almost like he had 10. I got 10 pretty good ones. 12. I need 12.
Yeah.
I need 12. I don't know.
How about 12? This is where he just looked outside and he's like, all right, this is it. Because anybody could do 10 rolls. I did 11. Let's do 12 so I can go and do some more fucking benzos and eat myself a steak. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street.
Jesus
the last two
Christ.
seem kind of mailed in a bit, I think.
Just press the key to life is, according to the guy who's apparently shocked that the Ontario College of Psychologists are like, listen, you need to stop or we're going to take your license away. He's shocked that he's being called on the carpet because his 12th rule for the 12 rules for life are you should probably pet some stray cats.
He's got 2 books, right?
Yeah, he's got 12 more now, doesn't he? Have we seen
I
those
don't
ones
even
yet?
know. Do we know what the 12 more are?
I think
Anybody?
he's got a new book coming. I don't even know if the book's out yet, but I remember reading something about him having something coming out. That's why he's on this big fucking bandwagon trailer park tour.
Yeah, the thing is, and again, I'm so leery about giving people advice because of stuff like this. It's there's so many people out there that are, like you said yesterday when we were talking about the yoga thing, Dean. It's $1 billion enterprise. Why are people so desperate to find and get advice from people that are not equipped to give it? Like and again, listen,
I'll tell you why. Because when they get professional advice they don't like, they go looking for other
something
opinions.
else that
Yeah,
fits
it's like when
the
someone
narrative.
says to me, hey, listen, I've got a problem with drinking. And I'm like, okay, you want to quit? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, I can work with you. Let's do this. You got to do these 4 things. This. And we'll talk next week. And they're like, well, I can't do the last 2. I'm like, well, then you don't want to stop drinking. Pretty simple.
Does
Pretty
any
easy.
of it involve petting cats?
No,
Okay.
none of it. No. It involves getting actual help from professionals. That's what
Oh.
it actually involves. Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
write
wow.
this down. Don't
It starts
talk
with this.
to Dean about your drinking.
It starts with this. This is the first thing I tell people. Don't pick up a drink today. It's the only job you have. Do everything else. Don't pick up a drink today. Second one is go find a meeting. I've got a legend of meetings you can go to every day. You got to hit a meeting every day for 30 days. And they're invariably, everybody's like, well, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, you spend 4 hours a day drinking in your basement. So maybe replace half of those with going to a fucking meeting or maybe going to therapy. That's the
This
other
seems
thing.
like
You
a
gotta go get
lot of
psychiatrist.
work.
Yeah, I'm already out.
I
I'm already
know.
out.
But my point is this, is that people never end up doing the work, right? Like we live in a society where someone's like, this is wrong. You go, okay, well, that happened to me. Here's what you can do. Or you go and seek professional help. We actually live in a different time than that now, where every single person completely mistrusts actual professionals that have degrees in certain areas.
What happened there?
Yeah. How did we
I'll
break
tell
that?
you what happened. Social media happened.
Oh, yeah.
The dark web
Yeah.
happened. The Daily Wire happened. Daily Caller happened.
Ezra Levant.
Rebel
happened.
News happened.
Yeah.
That cunt Ezra Levant happened. Peter Thiel happened. Elon Musk happened. Putin has been happening for 25 years. I mean,
I think
this has been fucking a group effort to collect absolute losers who don't want to do the right thing by anybody. It is all about selfishness, pure, unadulterated selfishness that never contributes to any kind of social scale whatsoever. That's how you know these guys are cocks. That's how you know Jordan Peterson, who doesn't want to help anybody. He wants to bend the rules towards himself. And so he puts out these Fugazi Cora things that he put out, and he puts them in a book, and you're like, pet a cat? That's what I got to do? Or people will go and, like Andrew Tate, he's got a course. This is the whole idea. Andrew Tate does a coaching course. A guy who traffics women around the world for pornography against their will has this thing that he sends people to every time he tweets. The real world. Click to play the video. He wants to create a real world, and all you got to do is give him money, and he'll teach you how to be a fucking dude who likes to traffic women. He'll teach you the ways of Jordan Peterson. He'll teach you the 12 rules, and maybe the 12 more if you're lucky. And people give him thousands of dollars. You got the 12 new ones?
Yeah.
Beyond order.
Do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or creative achievement.
All right.
Whatever. Imagine who you could be and then aim to being single-mindedly at that. It's the dumbest shit I ever heard. That never works.
No.
Do not hide unwanted things in the fog. Your guess is as good as mine as to what the fuck that is.
I bet you he
seems to be getting
fog.
It's getting
Very
thinner.
foggy. Yeah.
Notice that this is number 4. Notice the opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated. Oh, so where someone actually leaves a space, you can fill it?
Wow.
Abandon ideology, he says. That's not true. The guy is like Eastern Orthodox Christian and fucking sings for it.
Yeah.
Work as hard as you possibly can on at least one thing and see what happens. Stupid. Try to make one room in your home as beautiful as possible. What about the other rules where he was like, make your whole home awesome? Now it's down to one room.
Yeah. We're cleaning the room
Does
again.
he remember the first 12?
We're making our beds.
Number 9. If old memories still upset you, write them down carefully and completely. Oh, that's a good idea. So you can fucking dwell on them. That's a smart idea.
Yeah.
Or go get therapy and deal with your resentment that way. Plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationship. That's bullshit. Do not allow yourself to become resentful, deceitful, or arrogant. That is exactly what he is. And he says, be grateful in spite of your suffering. That's also a lie. You have to be grateful for the suffering. Because that suffering teaches you. And the last one, number 13, wash your penis, Jordan Peterson.
Oh, that's brilliant. You know what? I think we're in interesting times where again, like I agree with you on a certain level, Ryan, that there has always been this mistrust, and there's always been this level of but again, I think to Dean's point, there's also now these communities that have formed, and people are taking advantage. Yeah. They've been taking advantage of these like organized communities that sort of did it grassroots, like Facebook groups and things like that. And you can find your community now. You can have some pretty warped ideas, and you can find people that believe the same things you believe, and you can create this culture of acceptance. And there's a couple of people that have stepped into these tents and are now abusing that culture and that organization that they had nothing to do with actually creating. But they're exploiting the fact that there's now this group out there, and that's kind of scary that's happening, and it's happening outside of religion now.
Yeah, they're monetizing vulnerability, right? And that's been an age-old fucking tactic. It's just now it's so much easier with the internet, with the way that people can be reached so easily. Especially the pandemic. The pandemic didn't break people. People broke themselves during the pandemic by turning to the fucking internet for all their facts and their fucking from unreputable sources that were telling them things they wanted to hear at first, which is how cults start. They tell you that you're the one that's being wronged, and I'm the one with the idea on how to fix it. That's Pierre Poilievre. That's his whole campaign strategy is that exact thing. I know
you're going to lose everything. Yeah,
I know they wronged you, and they're going to keep wronging you unless you come with me. And that's what every cult leader does. This is a fucking this has been a thing for millennia. Yeah. It's just
it's bigger than that. I mean, and again, that's why I was so leery about even commenting about what I did for a year, because I don't want to be perceived as the guy that has the fucking answers. I mean, open up your Instagram. If you follow any amount of people, just hit your feed. There's like, I can't go more than 5 fucking posts without somebody with something where they're like pointing at a fucking screen telling you how to live your fucking life. It's like, who are you? Where did you get your advice? Why?
It doesn't
Why do
matter.
I need to eat kale again?
It doesn't matter because the people that do quizzes on Facebook on to find out what kind of potato they are will take that advice with every fucking authority, thinking that it's some sort of utmost authority because it's on the internet. That's the age of people we're dealing with. We're dealing with, and I'll say it, it's a boomer problem mostly in like Western culture where they believe anything that is put towards them on a screen. It doesn't matter if it used to be the TV and now it's the internet, which has caused distrust across the board unless it's my guy. If it's my guy, I can trust him.
Our kids are less likely to be sucked into a lot of this stuff now, just because they've grown up with the internet.
And to no favor of ours, we didn't do them any favors by that. By the way, we haven't upgraded our fucking media literacy fucking courses in school. You know why? Because the government won't touch it because they know they need you to be stupid. So they won't change the curriculum to teach kids how to be aware of this shit on the internet. The kids just figured it out on their own.
Yeah, the kids are like, listen, I can smell Andrew Tate coming from a mile away. I know he's full of shit. Listen, I know Jordan Peterson's key to life, if he's telling me to go pet a stray cat, is ridiculous. That's why millennials are like, what the fuck is going on? Gen Z, is it Gen Z or Gen
Gen Z and millennials?
Gen Z is like, they've turned away from all this stuff. They're like, fuck that, fuck politics, fuck Andrew Tate.
Literally,
fuck
my
Alpha,
daughter
fuck
says,
labels, fuck
your kid's my daughter.
Yeah.
They literally say, they're watching YouTube videos of people, having, falling down stairs. They're not taking advice from the internet. And I've literally had my daughters say multiple times, and I feel relieved somewhat, like, oh no, that's on the internet. I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Gen Z is going to save our lives. Gen Z is going to fucking turn the clock back. Like those kids
for
are
some
like
reason
so
they have a
fucking
work
sick and
ethic too.
Well, they not only have a work ethic, but they also have they've been on the tail end of all the garbage. So it's like they can see what's real and what isn't, right?
Yeah.
Whereas everybody here is like, how is a guy like? Because we're so monochrome in the way we look at life. We always have been because we came from a time when the phone sat on the wall and there's a cord. And then your TV was in a wooden box, and it maybe had a record player in the top of it if you were fucking rich. Like that's where we came from. Yep. Seriously.
Remember how blown away we were when you could see the person's phone number on the screen of the or when you take
I
another
remember
call?
that.
What?
Yeah.
When I got fucking voicemail when I was like 8, 9, I'm like, wait a second. If you press record, you can
we didn't have to
leave
fucking
a
listen to the
message.
machine.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys? I'm actually going to blow your mind because we had party lines. Our phone would ring and you'd get on, and there'd be somebody from down the streat on the fucking line, and they go,
somebody that didn't understand.
I'm on with my nana in Halifax. You're gonna have to come back in 20. Like literally, that was how fucking backwoods I was.
Always somebody that didn't understand the ring sequence, and they'd always answer. It didn't matter who it was. It's like, oh, John answered the phone again. Yeah, party lines were the fucking best.
I just want to say one thing too. I think if you are in a position where you're giving anybody advice or somebody asks you for advice, I think you have to make sure that you take very serious responsibility for that, right?
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, like, on a fairly regular basis, why are you coming to me for advice? Literally, like, what have you not heard our show? Like, have you not, like, I'm a moron. Like, what is it about what I've just said that makes you think that I have an answer for you? Like,
it's what I just said. You have this in front of you, so people for some reason in their brain think that this means you're smart.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. Yeah.
They think that you know something. To me.
And here's the thing: is that people never go and look for help now. The same people that are like, you got to do these 4 things if you want to have a healthy life, and they're like, I can do one of them. And they're like, well, then fuck, you're not going to succeed. That's just the way life works. To that point, every single person that is involved in this movement and considers himself some type of alpha male or holds a guy like Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Pierre Poilievre, any of those guys as a mentor, it's because they share the same shitty values.
Yeah.
Right? And the shitty values they share is they don't give a fuck about you or me or anyone else. They're in a group of people who specifically only care about themselves. That's it. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's about you. Yeah, it's about you. Oh, great. We're in the same club because it's not about anybody else, just about us.
Yeah.
Until the rubber meets the road. Case in point, if you look at what's happening in Congress today, they're trying to pick a House Speaker. And
In the
the
US,
Republicans
it's been
are
so good.
exploding. They all hate each other because they're all me, me, me. They're in it for me, 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 me.
Yep.
Andrew Tate, in it for me, 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 me. Jordan Peterson, in it for me, 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 me. Not anybody else. That's why the psychologist organization in Ontario is like, hey, we're going to take your license unless you do this retraining because you hurt a lot of people with your Fugazi psychology. Because it's not psychology that he teaches. He teaches young men how to be super fucking angry. It's what Andrew Tate teaches people, how to be really fucking angry. And then they charge people for that privilege, which is the fucking perfect grift, if you ask me. Someone reads Jordan Peterson's book, it's like, to pet a cat? That sounds fucking easy. I don't have to go to the hospital. I don't have to get meds. I don't have to get a psychiatric evaluation. Just got to pet a cat, clean my room. That's it. Guess what? None of it works. None of it works. Not one thing that fucking guy says works. And not one thing Andrew Tate says is legitimate. Not one. It is an act to get as much as they can because they're all part of the selfish me first group. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Fuck them.
I will
Right in
say
their
this.
faces,
I
too.
have noticed a lot more things like in the last couple of days, and I applaud it, and I hope it continues. The sort of the negative, trying to let go of negative energy, and we even had a conversation with a guy today who was telling a story about his dating, lack of dating success in the new year. And he goes, I'm telling you this story because I'm really bothered by what happened to me, but I'm also trying to forgive, and I'm trying to not take this negative energy with me into this new year. And I've had conversations like that, like with 5 or 6 different people online and in person over the last week or so. I think there is this idea that there is a lot of negative energy out there, and that some good things happen in 2022, but a majority of people, I think, are like, man, that was a rough year for me. What can I do to make this next year better for me, for my mental health? And I think there is this concerted effort to be less negative, to try to be more positive, right? And I think that's a good thing. I've seen that. I've seen, like, how people are posting, this is what I'm going to try to do. A lot of it is, I'm going to try to focus on being more positive this year. Like, I've seen that multiple times, and I'm not just saying that because of this conversation. I legit have seen that, and I think that that's a positive for what we're dealing with, right? Because it was a rough year. If we're being honest, 2022, maybe not as bad as 2020 or 2021, but 2022 had its
tough, man.
Moments.
Like
Yeah,
we're, and I know that the pandemic has kind of come back, and great thoughts, Locke. And you're right. Being positive is one thing, but absolutely, like, understanding your objective reality is something totally different, right? I say this all the time. There are a lot of people who are really bothered by and have spent a lot of time bothering themselves with political things they absolutely cannot change.
yeah.
With
I get
cultural things
squirreled into that too.
they cannot change. Like, I've got a friend that spends so much time raging about American politics, and he lives in Calgary, that he phoned me last week and he's like, I got to put my phone away. I can't. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that to yourself? You live in Calgary. You run a software company, and you're having a nervous breakdown over American politics. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
We
Like,
all have
and he's like,
friends
but
like
I think
this,
I can
though,
change.
Dean.
No, but everybody online is like, I think I can change something if I just say the right thing or
I
do
can
the
just
right
tweet
thing.
this thing.
And then you go down the rabbit hole. We were going to have Spenny on today. He's like, and by the way, he sent me a text. By the way, I'm not allowed to talk about American politics. My family won't let me anymore because I'm losing my mind.
Good.
And I'm
Good.
like, smart.
Mhm.
Same thing with Pierre Poilievre. Same thing with Canadian politics. I have no vested interest in any of it because it has no place in my day. I want to talk about the culture that's feeding this. And I thought about this the other day, and I would love your thoughts on this. I think by and large, there's a massive class war going on in this country. Massive class war. And that class gap is bigger than it's ever been. I feel like certain people in this country and in North America want us to fight this fucked up culture war because they don't want us looking at the disparity in class in North America. They don't want the have-nots to come up to them and go, we need to talk about what you have and what I don't, because that's revolution time. We have a civic responsibility to do that, not to fight with each other. Somehow, political institutions in this country and in the United States have managed, by and large, to convince people that they take the most advantage from and treat the worst to get on their teams.
Yeah.
Right?
And
like,
it's fucked. It's so fucked because they're the ones that are causing the inequity. Yeah. And they're the ones that are highlighting it and using it as a tool to create the rage. Right. And I get sucked in all the time. Right. Like this privilege, the reason they have this privilege, they've created it. They put themselves on this fucking, on this stage. Mm-hmm. And then they're using it like Pierre Polyev. The guy's a fucking millionaire. And he goes out of his way to create this anger revolving around where we're all at and the struggles that we're having, when that guy could wipe his ass with fucking $100 bills.
Yeah.
And it would make no difference. Like, why are we listening to these people?
Oh my God. Fights against dental care, universal dental care, while taxpayers pay for his kids' dental care. Like it's the most absurd.
And his house.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. And he's using them. Like, this is the thing that fucking amazes
they all
me
do
most.
it, though. I mean, I want to make sure that we have a balanced conversation. It happens on all sides of the political spectrum, though.
I know.
Right?
But my point is, politicians will use the most infirmed people in this country to do the most damage. Mm-hmm. It's what they always have done. It's what they always will do. It'll never change. And that is why I feel the way I feel today about not having politicians on this show, about never allowing them to regurgitate their messaging. Oh, it's a fucking great idea. Dude, I will never have another one on the show.
Can I tell a quick story about Jimmy? When the NDP were still in power here in Alberta, and he's a raging conservative. Jimmy is like, he gives money to the party. Like he is like Reform Party, like he's full on.
Why is he doing
unbelievable?
That? But why is he doing that?
In a 6 month period of time, he got 3 raises because the NDP kept increasing the minimum wage, and they kept realizing they were paying him shit dollars, so they had to keep giving him raises. Like, in the last 6 months, you've had 3 raises. Why are you an NDPer? And he's like, I can't stand him. I'm like, you should be the guy. And it's the same thing. We had this conversation yesterday about someone that Linz knows that takes advantages of all the social services.
Yes.
Like all of them. He's got he fraudulently has a handicap sticker.
Yep.
He
Seriously?
Doesn't work. Yeah. Hasn't had a job for 20 years.
20 years.
Is the angriest man he's ever met. Right? Like, and he's
has a fuck Trudeau flag during the last federal election on his front lawn, and makes a living by orchestrating slip and falls at McDonald's. And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. He tried to sue them for $5,000 for finding a twig in a blueberry pie. One of those. Yeah, right. You're right. And I said this to Locke, and I had a really good conversation about this on, I think it was Sunday night. We were shooting the shit, and I wrote this in like one of my latest Linz reports. It's exactly what we're saying, and I've got the copy of this part right here. Let me read this to you.
Are you gonna read it in that funny voice too, or no?
Most of the social programs conservatives in the country want to gut and fill with Galen Weston PC brand cotton balls. Those are the programs that undereducated people like Terry and Karen rely on most. If there's one thing Pierre Poilievre should be applauded for, it's his uncanny ability to take a mile-away running start, square up, and kick his constituents square in the crotch, and while they're bent over in agony, remove the cash from their pocket and still evoke a heartfelt thank you from the unsuspecting rube.
Hey, well said. Well said.
It's true.
Well said.
It's true.
Yeah. You made an interesting point though about the culture of it, though, Dean. I think this is what they've done. This has become.
So Justin Trudeau has managed to corner the market on people who are like, the world should be full of puppies and any mean people should be put to death. Like, that's what he's cornered the market on. Pierre Poilievre's cornered the market on anybody that doesn't agree with that. And I happen to be one of those guys. Like, I happen to be one of those guys who's incredibly tired of virtue signaling. I am incredibly tired of an ineffective prime minister. But he is not an evil jack off. Like he's just, he does politically evil
You
things,
should write
I'm
their
sure,
ads.
but he's not a political jack off. He's not, like
Yes, I want puppies. No, I'm not a jack off. Please vote liberals.
But all the culture people, like all the free thinkers and the people who are like, everybody should be allowed to do whatever they want, with the exception, call people names.
Mhm.
They're all on that side. All the religious zealots and the people who want to hunt, abuse women, and be able to drink anytime they want, 24 hours a day, they're on the other side.
Yeah.
And
So
they've
tell
been
them what
told
to do.
that someone's coming for their freedoms, and it's all those people. And both of the narratives are being driven from the top by political opponents, by PR groups, by lobbyists, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit because they want you to not notice that they have everything and you have nothing. And so what they do is they appeal to your culture,
Keep
your
us angry.
religion,
Stay angry,
your
everyone.
privilege,
Yep.
and they're like, you got to fight back for us. We're going to be the people that fight for you there. None of them will. None of them. That's the fucking best part. That's why I don't talk about politics.
And hey,
Oh.
that little tiny bit of money that we're going to try and take away from you, send it to us. Donate it to us while we're doing that, please.
Yeah, listen, if you don't send us $15 a month in perpetuity, you might lose your truck
Yeah.
and your land. You might. And you might not
And your
get free
sled.
healthcare. Your sled. And you might not get like new teeth. Like all those
They're going to take away your handicap
Woo!
parking sticker.
That's right. So think
Yeah.
for yourself, use the ability to reason. And let's end the show today with Thor the Walrus. Shall we?
Oh, yes, please.
Is there a video of him
I
whacking
don't know.
off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Small seaside town, Scarborough, England. That's where this happened, New Year's Eve. Everybody's getting excited, fresh, ready to go. People are
Like his
pumped.
name's Thor.
Mhm.
It's got a huge
Got
hammer.
a
I bet.
humor hammer,
People are
yeah.
pumped. They've spent 1.4 million pounds on getting the fireworks
What?
prepped. The whole city's excited. In comes Thor the Walrus right on the shore, and he starts jerking off, and he doesn't stop for 8 hours. I didn't know walruses could masturbate for 8 hours. And so while they were waiting for Thor to stop jerking off,
I wouldn't
organizers are
recommend
like,
it, by the way.
we
if
got to
anybody's
cancel the
asking.
fireworks
Yeah.
because
That advice I feel okay giving.
Yeah, you should.
Beating off for 8 hours, not
Look at
good.
the size of his cake. Go on, kid. Put Corey on it. Jeez, go on, boy.
Oh my God! Yeah, he's got a big hammer.
Yeah.
What's it?
stop.
Someone's take notes. Next time you do a protest, people, take notes. Take notes that this is an effective protest that stopped an entire town in its tracks on New Year's Eve.
I don't know
Listen
if that's advice we should be giving people. By the way,
Just start
Convoy people,
masturbating in
heads
public.
up.
That's what would have
You wanna-
stopped the
you wanna
convoys if
get a
everybody
message
showed
out
up
there,
and just
just-
started jerking off.
just show up at the ledge and start whacking off.
Look at this guy. Listen to the dude like doing the comment, like the play-by-play of the walrus
That's part of
jerking
the
off.
video.
A W. Look at the size of his cake.
Cake.
I'm
Look at
isolating
the
that.
size of his
A
cake.
W. Look at the size of his cake.
Go on, kid.
Get
He
some.
looks so, he looks like he's like, guys, are you looking at me doing this right now? Just keep looking. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna keep jerking it. I'm just
I
gonna
like it
keep
when
pulling
people
it.
watch.
Where was this again?
Scarborough, England.
Scarborough.
1.5 million in
Awesome.
fireworks up. And you know why? Because eco warriors came around. They're like, you have to let him finish. And the guy's like, he's been going for 8 hours. And they're like, never disrupt a walrus in its natural masturbatory habitat. And he's like, all right. So they sent everybody home. No word of a lie. Shocked that I didn't even know animals masturbated. That was a shock for me. And then I went and looked, and
Okay.
apparently not only do walruses masturbate, they can auto-fellate themselves
Corey
as
on
well.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Z-lock.
Jeez, go on, boy.
Yeah.
You could do the Randy Walrus. You should make your own yoga pose. Call it the Randy
Yeah,
Walrus.
Costa's got a point. It took so long because people were watching.
He was edging himself.
He got a little shy. That edging thing I don't get. That's
He was
another
edging.
day, but I'm telling you, people
He
that
was
just
edged
like
for
go
8
right
hours.
to the
Didn't we have that guy on?
Yeah.
The-
He said it was
yeah.
good for humans. Maybe it's good for walruses.
No.
Penguins also masturbate. Did you
Okay.
know that?
Oh yeah.
Did not
They,
know.
they
A
mate for
lot.
life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real dirty birds in the animal kingdom, not the walrus, not the penguin, dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
Dolphins they're nasty little beasts.
They'll fuck anything and anyone.
Yeah.
Male dolphins going at it. Female. I don't even know how the anatomies work because I'm not a marine biologist who studies dolphin sex.
Someone told me that they're very sexualized dolphins.
Yeah,
You got to be careful
incredibly
when you're in the
sexualized.
pool with them.
Yeah, they'll go. That little beak will go right in there.
Wear an extra pair of underwear.
Get right in there.
Apparently they're hard all the time too.
Yeah, they are.
Apparently they're constantly hard.
Oh, if you could swim like that. You'd
Maybe
feel
I'm
good about
part
yourself as
dolphin.
well.
Maybe.
Anyway, interesting. Good
for,
luck to Thor.
Good for Walt. Yeah, I was just going to call him Walter. Yeah, good for Thor.
Walt.
Oh, Walter's the guy that masturbates in front of the 7-Eleven in Scarborough, Ontario. That's right. I'm sorry.
That's right. Different
Yeah.
masturbator
I forgot
altogether.
about-
And he goes by Walt, by the way. He's been
Walt,
going by
yeah.
Walt for the past 30 years.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Walt
his
sounds
last.
like a guy that masturbates at the 7-Eleven. All right.
Thanks, boys. Good to see you. Locke's
you.
got to go to yoga or something. He's got some kind of yoga
Going to
retreat
a
he's
class
gotta do.
tonight.
Are you? Good for
looking
you.
forward to it. Yeah.
All
Teach
right.
them the Randy
Chef.
Walrus.
Yeah. Show him.
I will not be masturbating at yoga.
Well, good for you. Thanks,
All right.
buddy. Good to see you.
day.
Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him every single weekday morning. That is Ryan Lindley from the Linds Report. Download, subscribe, give him a follow on Twitter as well. At Ryan Lindley is where you can find him. Thanks for doing this, dude. Good to see
Thanks
you.
for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun today.
It was.
I don't know if I like doing content more, like straight content. Pardon me. Just had a drink of a fizzy water.
You said
Or if I love doing content around watching bad people swirl. Like the Schadenfreude.
You made a T-shirt out of it, for Christ's sake. You know, we know who you are.
I live for it.
But it's good content because I think it's righteous, isn't it? I think we're on the right side of things when we bring up assholes like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson. I think we're kind of on the right side of history here.
Some would say, no, not really, actually, which hurts me. No, I love it. I love watching terrible things happen to bad people.
Me too.
And this is the season that we're in. But apparently that it negatively reflects on your own psyche from time to time.
It is true, I guess. Yeah.
However,
supposed to
enjoying the idea of Andrew Tate in a Romanian prison a great deal right now. And enjoying the idea of Jordan Peterson losing his psychology license a great deal at the moment.
I like it.
Watching Elon Musk lose billions a day just fucking excites me.
He's selling his truck, like his personal truck. Like,
Did you
things
see
must
that?
be bad. He's having a yard sale, or
He's selling the very first Cybertruck ever.
oh my
And
god,
if you buy it, did you see this?
no.
This is how things are going for Elon. If you buy this Cybertruck, the prototype, you get a lifetime Twitter blue check mark.
Ooh. Oh.
If you buy the world's ugliest DeLorean truck ripoff from the richest incel prick on the planet, he'll give you a free check mark that costs $10 a month for everybody else. What a fucking
What a deal.
deal.
Yeah, no shit. Sign me
is
up
the
for
best.
2.
Give me 2 trucks. I want 2 check marks.
What a loser.
What
He's
a
just doing
piece
that
of
to pay the
shit.
hydro.
Yeah, that's all he's doing. He got kicked out of his Twitter office in San Francisco yesterday, too, by the way.
Oh,
They're
finally.
like, yeah, you got to leave. You haven't paid $136,000 in rent. It's like, all right, see you later.
Oh, wow.
It's coming for everybody. This should be encouraging everybody that stayed the human being course over the past 3 years, right? That didn't devolve into like, my needs are more important than the needs of the rest. This is what happens. People go to jail. People lose their license. And we come around and we circle back and then we close up ranks and then we deal with you. That's how it is.
Because we're just going to have to bail you out somehow. Somehow this is going to cost everybody else money. And that's exactly what it is. It always ends up costing everybody else time, emotion, and money. When somebody goes off on their own like this and has their little hissy fit and like literally had the world by the balls. Because now we're finding out it was all a scam from the get-go. So if he would have just kept his stupid mouth shut, kept doing his thing, he could have been a success. But they can't. That's not how that guy's programmed. He can't physically hold it back, right?
Delusions of grandeur. They're told that there's somebody, then they got to go be somebody, and then someone else says you got to be more of that somebody or less of that. And they're like, what am I doing? And all of a sudden they're nobodies again. Like Andrew Tate will be a nobody. He's a shitty kickboxer. He was never a world champion. He was courted by, Peter Thiel and the rest of those fucking super rich Silicon Valley dark money losers. And he was propped up into this lifestyle, and it is just a game. It is this continual game of how to tell people that you've got answers that they want when you have none. You just want to traffic a couple humans for some porn. Like, fucking wild.
It's crazy.
Wild that we live in that time. Anyway, thanks for doing this, dude. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Take care.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Ryan Lindley, Sheeple Shepherd podcast, as well as the Lynn's Report. Go and download that. And thanks to him and Lachlan for being here again, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter, at Ryan Lindley on Twitter. And thanks to our friends at kivlaw.ca for making this happen. Email Robert at kivlaw.ca if you've got any issues. If you're in Southern Ontario, you need a legal leg up, you need someone to walk you through a legal process, Robert at kivlaw.ca. Kivlaw defense attorneys not only fight for your right to stay free, they fight for your ability to learn from your mistakes and to actually learn about the legal process and what's important to do and not to do. Sometimes we make silly decisions, right? Yeah, that's what Rob's here for. Not only help learn, teach you about those decisions, but to help keep you as free as humanly possible when you're going through your legal issues. So need a great defense attorney, Southern Ontario, Robert at kivlaw.ca. Make sure you send him a note today. Also, our friends at Ed's Fine Imports. This show is brought to you by Gitch, luxury branded underwear, boxer briefs, pouch in the front. Available now at edsfineimports.com. If you go there and you order 3 pair or more, I'll send you a free pair. 3 or more, you get one for free. Promo code GITCH3. Gitch, luxury branded boxer briefs, pouch in the front. You can't mess with these things. They're the only underwear I wear and the only underwear you'll wear, gentlemen. And they're Canadian made. Feel good about looking good in a new pair of boxer briefs. The best made. Gitch, edsfineimports.com. Gitch3 is your promo code. And last but not least, calling on our friends at Cantork. Listen, if you're looking for a loosener, fastener, if you're looking for a torque wrench that no one else can make, buy, or find, that's what they do. They make hardworking, rugged, beautiful torque wrenches. They're Canada's assembly tool experts, Canada's leading industrial tool experts, offering you the best sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. No matter the scale of your bolting project, they have your solution. Go to cantork.com today. Talk to my friend Colin. He's also a race car driver with Alex Tagliani. He'll help you. It's what he does. Cantork.com. That's it. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the very program. Scotty Trades joins us from the Hot Wallet podcast, and we'll talk a little bit about Elon, and we'll talk about finances, and then we got some other shit to get to. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.